Hello, welcome to my presentation on a brief overview of South Africa. Let's start. So, to begin with the brief outline of South Africa's history is its colonization era. It happened from 1652 to 1910. South Africa, like other nations, was under European colonization for centuries. First colonized by the Dutch, then transferred to the British. Colonization ended in 1910 with the creation of the Union of South Africa. The Union of South Africa was a self-governing British dominion, which was kind of like a colony, but kind of not, more self-ruled. And then after the colonization era, we begin the apartheid era from 1948 to 1994. There is a bit of a gap because it took a while for apartheid to start, but it did begin under the governance of the Union of South Africa government. Apartheid was the racial segregation committed by the government ran by an entirely white citizens. It took power away from the majority. In South Africa, the majority of people are colored, and the minority are white citizens. I put quotations I put independence in quotations because it's not really independence. They are still being told what to do. They're still being overpowered by people who are the minority, and there's just not an equal balance in this country during this time period. And then the last era is post-apartheid, which is 1994 to today. It's the present era of South Africa. Began with the inauguration of Nelson Mandela, who is the first black president of South Africa. That's who I have pictured on this slide. It evolved South Africa into equality and acceptance of all people. It got rid of the segregation, or he is tempted to start getting rid of the segregation that was put on by years of the apartheid era. And this is really when South Africa began to shift away from the apartheid era. Colonization and neo-imperialism. The legacy of colonization still impacts South Africa today. Created a systematic, deep-rooted racist culture which caused the apartheid era. A strong correlation between race and household income due to this racist culture. 9 out of 10 households and the poor 60% of homes were black, according to Two Nations Race and Economic Inequality in South Africa today. And then neo-imperialism exists in South Africa, which is just new imperialism in the modern day. Foreign investment is a way that imperialism is done in the modern era. It's rampant in South Africa. It's both good and bad for South Africa. These multinational businesses come in, they exploit its resources, but they also give the people jobs. They might not be the best jobs, but they give them jobs. But it takes more than it gives, as it takes so many resources away from South Africa and exports them to other manufacturing bases around the world outside of Africa, where they profit the most money, taking those raw materials into finished goods. In the political picture I have pictured in the slide, it shows Africa being taken all of its resources out, with the gold accumulating in America and Europe, and that is happening to South Africa as well. Income inequality is a major problem in South Africa today. An immense income inequality balance is found within South Africa. The Gini index, which is a economic tool used to measure income inequality, and from 2006 to 2014, the South Africa scored the highest according to World Bank's development indicators. The average score for these years was 39. South Africa scored 63, which the higher the score, the worse the country's off. Also, as I mentioned earlier, huge gap in household income between colored and white citizens. It's around $900 a month for colored citizens, and then $20,000 for white citizens. And this ties back to the apartheid era, where the white citizens had more power than the African American citizens. Xenophobia is another political issue found within South Africa today. Xenophobia in South Africa is concentrated towards immigrants that are coming in and trying to live in South Africa. Public opinion in South Africa as a whole is shifting towards hatred of these immigrants. A majority of people in South Africa agree that immigrants are a burden on the country due to jobs and social benefits being taken away from actual citizens and given to these immigrants. Seen as the public opinion views them as like kind of like vultures coming in, taking what they can get, the scraps that the citizens also want for themselves, causing this competitiveness that is leading to xenophobic attacks on immigrants. And overall, South Africa right now is facing a huge xenophobia problem, and the government, and there's plenty of people protesting for the government to help do something, and it's only a matter of time before we see some resolve in this conflict. South Africa today, where is South Africa today? Well, a governance problem is very obvious in modern day South Africa, not just with xenophobia, but many citizens agree that it needs to be better. 82% of citizens say it's more corrupt than it was the previous year. And 70% are dissatisfied with the democracy that is found within the country. And this is from Afrobarometer.com, where they survey the citizens, and this was the difference between the previous year and the current year. People of Africa are gaining a sense of pride in the world space as they have overcome many challenges in their country, as apartheid was a huge challenge and segregation ran rampant, and they're finally starting to get rid of the problem that they were living in for so long, and they're beginning to get a sense of pride in that and trying to get them out there in the world. Thank you for listening.